Councils across England likely to be hardest hit by cuts to central government funding are to be given an extra £300 million over the next 2 years. Local Government Secretary Greg Clark announced the transitional cash in a statement to Parliament, saying he had listened to the concerns of councils. He also announced what he said was a £90 million increase in funding for rural councils in 2017. Labour said local government was still facing a financial disaster. Speaking in the Commons, Mr. Clark said the provisional local government settlement announced in December, which outlined cuts to central government funding of 6.7% between 2016 and 2020, would go ahead as planned following a public consultation. This comes on top of a near 30% cut in funding between 2010 and 2015. No deterioration. Mr. Clark said the state of the public finances meant that any change to the pace of cuts was extraordinarily difficult, but he said he would be offering additional financial support to councils likely to suffer the sharpest reduction in funding in the first 2 years. I will make additional resources available in the form of transitional grant as proposed in the response to the consultation by colleagues in local government, he said. The grant will be worth £150 million a year paid over the first 2 years. Mr. Clark said £32.7 million of this funding would be available to rural councils. Coming on top of a 5-fold rise in the value of the services delivery grant from £15.5 million to £80.5 million in 2017, he said an extra £93 million in total would be available to meet the concerns of rural councils. This proposal means there is no deterioration in government funding for rural areas compared with urban areas for the years of this statutory settlement, he told MPs. Labour's John Trickett said the short-term funding was welcome, but it was insubstantial compared to the billions in extra funding that councils would have to find to pay for extra spending obligation in social care and other areas. It reminds me of nothing more than someone speeding along the road into a disaster who then says, "I will take my foot off the accelerator," without changing the destination. Because local government is facing a disaster.